High on life is what happens when a Saturday morning cartoon and wanton disregard for life fall into a vat of alien ball sweat and come out holding a talking pistol that won't stop giving you life advice. It's loud, weird, raunchy, and surprisingly smart. It's Rick and Morty, but embedded in a first-person shooter that's part adventure game, part sitcom, and part acid trip. If that sentence already sounds like your kind of chaos, then you're in for a treat. So pull up a chair. Just don't ask why it's all sticky. The premise is simple but well executed. Aliens invade Earth because they've discovered that the most potent recreational narcotic in the galaxy is us. Basically, if Soylent Green replaced Charlton Heston with Snoop Dogg. You, an underachiever with a knack for disappointing mom and dad, stumble upon a sentient pistol named Kenny and warp your house to Blim City to become a bounty hunter under the mentorship of Gene Zaruthian, a retired hunter who looks like the product of a one-night stand between a stress doll and Lieutenant Dan. The main quest is a hit list: track down lieutenants of the G3 cartel and eventually topple the big boss, Garmantuous.
Hello, aliens.
Oh my god, that's the scary alien
Garmantuous, leader of the G3 cartel. Don't resist. Any attempts to fight us will be futile.
Crazy.
You are now officially the property of the G3 cartel.
It plays like a bright, rude space western with dialogue and voice actors ripped straight out of Rick and Morty.
Where are we going?
To find somebody who can help. You ever been to the big city? Because you're about to, except that it's a space city. It's a huge space city, and you're going to be out of your element. And you better just follow my lead. Welcome to Blim City.
Did you just warp our entire house to another planet?
Yeah, keep up.
High on Life's writing is a pendulum swing between stupid smart and just stupid. When it hits, it really hits. Long-form bits, throwaway one-liners, ambient NPC roasts, and a surprisingly tender through line about guilt. Kenny's mostly. However, when it misses, it really misses, and it can feel like you've been trapped in a never-ending podcast hosted by Beavis and Butthead. My take? The game gets funnier the more you buy into its world. If you're allergic to improv-style riffing, this might wear you down. But if you enjoy a steady drip of foul jokes, you'll be grinning from start to finish.
What's up, freak?
Jorb, greet the customer properly.
Welcome to Mr. Keeps Dipshit. We're your friendly neighborhood pawn shop. Buy something or don't, nobody even cares.
Jorb!
The campaign is a tried-and-true formula structured around bounties that open up new biomes. Swamps, deserts, neon slums, you get the idea. Connected by a central hub, your living room. It's not open world. It's a network of compact levels with shortcuts and gated areas you can't reach until a future weapon unlocks the right traversal trick. This format keeps backtracking fairly satisfying because coming back later almost always pays off with chests, upgrades, or a weird gag you couldn't trigger before. In other words, the maps play a lot like Borderlands 2, in the sense that they each have a linear path to progress the story, but you are free to explore the maps however you want. Alright, so now let's talk about the headlining act, or the gimmick, that makes the game truly unique. The Gatlians. A dysfunctional family of talking weapons, each with a combat role, traversal power, and a one-dimensional stereotypical personality that you'll either love or hate. First up, there's Kenny, your blue-green starter pistol voiced by Justin Roiland. Kenny is the I can fix this guy, who definitely broke the thing to begin with. This character is straight up Morty. Kenny's voice, speech patterns, and hyper-sarcastic sense of humor, often self-deprecating, are indistinguishable from the unrelated TV show character.
You got this. Just keep it steady and... Whoa, perfect shot. You fucking nailed it. How sick was that? Whew, okay, I gotta recharge. It doesn't take too long, but it's a little longer when there's enemies nearby, you know? My body gets too tense. It's like trying to piss when someone's watching, you know?
His Glob Shot pops enemies into the air like a powerful grenade launcher, and can also be leveraged to brute force specific objects in the map as a traversal mechanic. Mechanically simple, but the pop and plink loop never stops being satisfying. The second talking weapon we collect is Knifey, your dedicated melee/grapple tool.
Alright, here's the product. A genuine talking knife. I gotta be honest with you, he's a real piece of shit.
He's extremely violent. He basically only talks about wanting to kill people in very disturbing ways.
Fuck you, I'm gonna carve out your anal cavity.
Knifey is all about stabbing the ever-living shit out of any and everything that's unfortunate enough to hove within striking distance. He's essentially Roberto from Futurama, but with an over-the-top Australian accent. His insatiable bloodlust is matched only by his affinity for cussing, and this made him my favorite character next to Kenny.
Feel free to inspect it.
Oh, fuck yes, thank you! you! Pleased to meet you! I'm Knifey! Now use me! Use me! Let me fucking stab these cocksucking ants! Let me in there! Oh god, this feels amazing! You have no idea! Oh god, I'm in heaven right now!
The third Gatlian we acquire is Gus.
Hey, bud, the name's Gus. Feel good to meet you. Look at you, man. Pretty slick taking out Krubis like that, rescuing me from indentured servitude, etc., etc. I love that kind of stuff. You know what? I love that. That's the kind of stuff I love, man. Now, you mind if I tag along with you for a bit?
A chill, laid-back shotgun whose special fire mode launches a large disc that can ricochet between enemies in order to quickly thin out mobs. The disc shot also has the ability to embed in certain walls, providing temporary platforms for the player to use as a mantle or grapple point. As an added bonus, aiming down sight also activates Gus's vacuum mode, which pulls enemies to you so you can rearrange their dental plan up close.
Fuck you! Get out! Whoa, what the Here it comes!
Pretty chill, right? Use that whenever you want. It's cool. And I see another wall you can climb. You see that, right? Still a little far away.
The fourth Gatlian is Sweezy, and she is definitely the most overpowered addition to your arsenal.
All right, dipshit, let's go.
What? No hello? Nice to meet you? Or thank you for saving me?
Why? Like you not dying there was some sort of favor to me? Hi, I'm Sweezy. Thanks so much for rescuing me. How's that, dipshit?
She's a spiky, full-auto machine pistol that fires crystalline projectiles that are reminiscent of the Needler from Halo Combat Evolved. A unique mod for Sweezy gives these crystal spikes the same mechanic as Torg's sticky rounds in Borderlands. Projectiles stuck in an enemy will violently explode upon initiating a reload, dealing increased damage. As if that weren't awesome enough, aiming down sight charges a single high-damage, high-velocity shot that can decimate enemies through solid cover. This already makes Sweezy very powerful because she functions as both a submachine gun and a long-range sniper rifle. But what makes Sweezy overpowered is her special fire, which creates a rather large bubble that brings time to a standstill for anything caught within its radius. It's crucial for puzzles, traversal set pieces, crowd control during firefights, and freezing bosses so you can light them up without them posing a threat. Yeah, it's as awesome as it sounds. The last of our Gatlian friends is Creature.
Oh hey, you look nice! My name's Creature. The bad guys did experiments on me and fucked me up real bad in basically every way you can imagine.
Holy shit, am I glad to see another Gatlian alive in here. Are there any others?
Oh my god, yes! There's so many! Oh, but unless you've been alive, then no!
A launcher that fires homing babies. Yep, you heard that right.
Oh hey, we're locked in! But that's fine! Don't freak out or anything. I can give birth to a bunch of little freaks and they can disable the door lock. It's fine!
They latch onto targets or crawl through vents to press buttons, which is equal parts useful and deeply upsetting in an HR violation kind of way.
That is the best feeling in the world. Then a few seconds later, when your mutant kid dies because it has a microscopic lifespan, that's not so good of a feeling actually, but I'm numb to it. Ow!
The combat loop thrives on synergy. Pop a glob shot, throw a time bubble on the cluster, swap to Gus for a point-blank cleanup, then grapple out with Knifey to reset the loop. It's quick, punchy, and readable. It's not as deep as a modern arena shooter, but it is definitely more expressive than the traditional just run and shoot shit style of gameplay offered by most FPS titles. The icing on the cake is that all weapons have unlimited reserve ammunition. So aside from having to reload a gun's magazine, you will never run out of ammo. Again though, one of the greatest and coolest features of the game are the mechanics involving map traversal. And this is where High on Life quietly wins. The Gatlian's special fire modes don't just spice up fights, they rewire how you move. Gus's discs literally create new pathways of verticality. Sweezy's bubble turns industrial fans into leisurely crosswalks. Knifey's grapples and tethers make you scan arenas for zip points like a caffeinated parkour coach. And that's why the backtracking doesn't feel like homework. Your kit evolves, so the world evolves with it.
Yo, Bounty Hunter, come see what I've got in stock on the food menu.
Where High on Life also excels is the gameplay outside of the main story progression. Between bounties, you can spend warp crystals on warp discs that yank in self-contained micro levels, a tiny city that you can ruin, a trolley problem parody, that kind of thing. But the wildest side activity is this. The game literally licensed multiple full-length movies you can actually sit and watch in your living room. Tammy and the T-Rex, Vampire Hookers, Blood Harvest, and Demon Wind. Some even featuring in-universe commentary. There's even an achievement called "We Paid for the Rights to Put a Whole Movie." The commitment to the bit is unreal, and it tells you everything you need to know about the team's priorities. If it's funny, it's going in. Bringing the entire thing to life is the incredible writing and voice cast. A murderer's row of comedy folks. The voiceover bench is stacked. Justin Roiland, JB Smoove, Betsy Sodaro, Tim Robinson, Michael Cusack, Laura Silverman, David Herman, Tom Kenny, Echo Kellum, and more popping up like Easter eggs with SAG cards. Even if a specific bit isn't your flavor, the delivery elevates the material. Especially when the guns bicker mid-fight like you're stuck on a road trip with 4 homicidal improv comics and a psychopathic knife. One of my favorite surprises was finding out one of the bosses was voiced by the same actor who does Dr. Venture from the Venture Brothers.
How you doing? Need some motivation to keep going? How about an award? Here, take this one that says you spent all your in-game playtime at an alien strip club. Oh, that's permanent, by the way. Everyone on your friends list can see that forever now.
I cannot put into words how nostalgic and hilarious I found it being ridiculed by Dr. Rusty Venture while I was trying to kill him. Graphics, performance, and visual fidelity are other areas that the game excels. Artistically speaking, it's the show Rick and Morty, straight up. If you don't have a reference point for that show, think Blade Runner meets the Muppets with a dash of Futurama. Environments are saturated toy box dioramas. Glossy slime, neon fungus, and chrome that looks like it was buffed by a hyperactive Roomba. The UI is legible, the hit feedback is satisfying, and the creature design flirts with gross in a way that's more giggle than gag. The original music by Tobacco leans synthy and grimy, giving the whole thing a VHS sci-fi vibe without getting in the way. I mean, honestly, your guns are already filling up the airwaves anyway. I also really like the way the game handles upgrades. First and foremost, upgrades matter, and they are all noticeable when acquired. Unlike many FPS titles in this vein, your weapon and skill upgrades are not gate-kept behind XP milestones, challenges, or skill trees. Shops sell mods that dramatically tweak fire modes, shorten cooldowns, and generally let you stitch a playstyle that feels like yours. You buy the ones you want, when you want them, in the order that suits your playstyle. The economy is also surprisingly well balanced. You earn just enough currency to cover 2 to 3 upgrades after each story mission, thereby providing consistent changes and improvements to mechanics, while also never putting me in a situation where I needed to go out and mindlessly farm for cash just so I could afford a gadget that I desperately needed before being able to comfortably progress the story. In other words, upgrades genuinely feel like rewarding bonuses, rather than being necessary to prevent you from becoming punishingly underpowered. Early game combat starts breezy and ramps into crowd control light show by the mid-game, especially when arenas layer verticality with enemies that counter your default mechanics. You learn to use the entire toolbox. The game expects you to juggle, freeze, grapple, and reposition like a bounty hunter fueled by Red Bull and meth. It's honestly just a shitload of fun. The boss fights were also a pleasant surprise in this game. Bosses are half mechanics checks, half extended comedy bits. Much in the style of Borderlands 2, all bosses have a dedicated intro animation and title card. The first boss, Nine Torg, sets the tone. Learn to leverage Kenny's Glob mode to interrupt the boss's damage phase and grapple out of danger during environmental damage phases. Later fights mix in unique arena hazards and timing windows that make you grateful to have Sweezy on deck. But most importantly, the spectacle is never overbearing, and the rhythm is clean enough to where when you do die, you always know exactly where you went wrong and how you need to adjust in order to clutch the win. If you finish the story and still want more yelling, the paid DLC, High on Knife, shifts the tone toward horror comedy and, true to the name, lets Knifey take the spotlight.
Greetings from Muxalon Delivery Services, blah, 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 blah. Sorry we missed you, yada, 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 yada. You can pick your package up at our distribution headquarters. Yeah, shut up.
You got it.
Wait a tick.
Quick break and introduce ourselves.
The sender. It's from...
What is your name?
Bounty Hunter! We have to get that package now!
You better hurry then. Muxalon HQ is a mobile facility. I bet they're stationed on Perux for a few cycles if they're delivering packages in this quadrant. I guess I'll just punch in the package as a new bounty. That's the only way I know how to do this.
Get ready, Hunter! Time for our greatest adventure yet!
It adds a new planet, new enemies, and a new Gatlian, Harper, voiced by SNL's Sarah Sherman. Harper is essentially the same pistol as Kenny. but they needed to change the character after the studio parted ways with Justin Roiland. There's also a brand new special weapon, Ball, who essentially operates kind of like a pinball machine but without the rails.
Whoa, who are these little fuckers?
Oh, that's Ball. It's an acronym, I forget what it stands for. But they operate the gun for you and shoot out balls, so there you go. Doesn't need to stand for anything, just shoots balls. You ready to learn how to use it?
Plus a wildly gross corporate hellscape to carve through. However, it's merely a tidy side story rather than a new end game. Expect an evening, maybe two, of interesting new content, sharper art, and jokes that lean a little darker. I'll admit I was a little disappointed with how short the DLC story was, but I do appreciate that the quality of the new content was great, serving as a fantastic example of how quality is still better than quantity. Take notes, Gearbox. Now, plenty of shooters are tighter, and plenty of comedies are wittier. What High on Life nails is commitment. It commits to the bit so fucking hard they bought the rights to entire movies. It commits to making your tools talk, then gives those tools mechanics that reinforce their personalities. It commits to a garish, slime-slogged aesthetic that shouldn't work, and then leans all the way in until it does. The end result is a game that's less about flawless marksmanship and more about marinating in a vibe. And honestly, I respect the hell out of the developers for going that route. But again, my positive review of this game does come with caveats. If non-stop banter is a deal breaker, this will test your patience. There are settings to reduce combat chatter, but the core loop is still very chatty by design. If you don't like Rick and Morty, you probably will not like this game. The second caveat is, if you need crunchy, high-skill gunplay with a PvP-ready sandbox, this game will leave you wanting. The charm of High on Life is that it's a no-bullshit action-adventure with jokes that cross the line more times than Michael J. Fox's coloring book. But those are really my only caveats. As far as wins, and where the game shines, weapon-led level design makes exploration feel like a puzzle box. The cast is stacked and delivers. Even throwaway NPCs land more punches than they miss. The world-building embraces absurdity without sacrificing readability. Encounters are chaotic, but they're clear. The side content and Easter eggs are shockingly well implemented. Few games would spend money just to sell a punchline this frickin' hard. So who's this game for? Well, it's for players who want a single-player campaign they can beat in a couple of long sittings, something loud, colorful, and proudly immature. Folks who enjoy comedy as a mechanic, where the characters in your hands are half the game, and Game Pass samplers, PS Plus explorers, and Switch Deck owners hunting for a portable, punchy adventure with personality for days. So, to wrap things up, High on Life is the rare game where your affection scales with your tolerance for chaos. Mechanically, it's a solid 7 wrapped in a 9's worth of personality, and the whole package plays like a confident B movie that knows exactly what you came for. I respect it more the longer I sit with it, not because it's flawless, it isn't, but because it keeps finding new ways to be itself, to be unique. When you remember a game, you usually remember a moment. High on Life gives you 50. Some will be a little cringe, a few will be brilliant, and most will be coded in something you probably shouldn't touch. So if you're mildly curious, try it where it's easiest for you. Game Pass, PS Plus when it cycles in, or handheld. If you vibe with the humor, you're in for a gleefully unhinged sci-fi road trip that ends sooner than it overstays and leaves just enough room for dessert with High on Knife. And if you don't vibe with it, well, at least you'll have watched a demon wind with 3 aliens heckling from the front row, and somehow that's still a win. Anyway, that's the video. Thank you very much for watching. Please do me a favor, leave a like, subscribe if you haven't already, and as always, keep shooting, keep looting. I'll see you in the next one.